everyone, it's Andy from Hobby Headquarters. Well, welcome to part 2 of building the Faun L900 truck with trailer. In part 1, if you haven't seen it already, we built up the truck portion of it and just put a basic paint job on it. In today's video, we're going to build up the trailer as well as weather and both the truck and the trailer, so we'll get it to be like a finished piece once we're completely done with everything. The truck was a great build, went together very well, so I have very good expectations that the trailer is going to go together the same way. So I've taken a couple weeks off of building, doing some other stuff, so excited to get started back again. So let's get started. Okay, when we last left off, you saw me complete the primary build of the actual truck itself, and all we went ahead and did was place just a very basic German gray color over the entire vehicle. We did do our black and white technique underneath. Since then, what I've gone ahead and done is I've also added in the windshield as well as the canvas cover. For the canvas color, all we did for this was use German gray, lightened it by probably about 30% with white, and then dry brush some even lighter effects on it just to highlight some of the little pieces on there. Also too, we've got a lot of comments on there where people thought the suspension was really low on this, and what I want to point out to you too, remember that there was 3 different versions that you could build, and we plan on putting a very heavy vehicle in the back of this, so yes, the suspension was lowered down. There are 2 other versions if you want to make it, you know, with no load in the back or a lighter load. The gap right here will be a lot smaller, but looking at pictures, especially carrying a tank, a 12-ton tank, this is about how much it would be. One other quick thing too, I was messing around with, as we start to build the trailer, they also have the ability, they showed a tank in the back and then an SDKFZ 7, the 8-ton half-track, which will fit in there too. And I was just playing around, and the actual half-track will fit in the back there too. Weight-wise too, this vehicle could carry this too, because the weight was not that much different than a Panzer II. So, I mean, we're not putting this in the back there, but just to show you the massiveness of this truck. This this is an old kit that we built a long time ago. I repainted it to do some weathering technique that never got around to. Can't actually find the windshield too, so I don't know if we'll actually put this on there, but might be something we can play around with. So now, to start off with, the first thing we need to do for the trailer is to start assembling the front wheels, the sub-assembly. Now, what it's going to do, it's going to call out that we started building these up around the the rubber wheels, which makes it really tough to paint. So what we're going to do is, they've got the outer part of the hub here that we are going to go, obviously sand. We're going to glue these into place right here. And I did a little test with it that once we get the piece on right there, that we can still get the wheel around it, and it just snaps on like that, and that way we can go ahead and paint and keep the rubber separate from the actual wheel itself. So I will go ahead and assemble all those pieces, and then it's just some basic assembly for the turning mechanism. These 2 pieces glued together, and then we have some suspension arms that are going to get glued into place right here. These leaf springs. These leaf springs are going to get glued into place, and then we can attach all these pieces around it, and then finally we have the tow hook here that'll get mounted into place here. So we're going to get all these pieces glued together, minus the rubber part of the wheels. Get them all sanded, of course, and then we're going to put it together, and we're going to paint that as a sub-assembly so we can pop the tires on. Okay, we have the front axle pretty much completed there. The only thing we need to do now is just attach the outer wheels, which we will do after we do all the painting on that. This way we can still snap these into place very easily. With that being said, we can now go ahead and start assembling the trailer. And the trailer, I was just kind of dry fitting some of the pieces here. It goes together very well. Just a matter of putting glue in here. You can see this shape lines up to the shape on this side. So we can go ahead and attach that in there. And then we'll go down the line, get all this glued up there. And then we have the other side to put on as well. and then just attaching a few other little parts. So I'm going to get these pieces on right here, and then we will start putting on the other outer pieces. Okay, we're still working on the frame here, as you can see, and we're about to lay some of these pieces in. What I thought I might point out to you real fast too, this is kind of a minor thing, but let you know. There is a little error in the instructions on the trailer, and that is in the sense that anything that has the word or the letter C in front of it is actually supposed to have the letter H in front of it. And you'll easily find that out after a second of looking at the C sprue and finding out none of these parts are on there. So that is going to turn up there, there, and a few of these other parts right here are all on the H sprue. So not a big deal, but just so when you first look at it, you might go, where the heck are these pieces? Are they even in there? But they are in there. They're just on the sprue marked H. So now we'll take this off for a minute because we have to build a little bit of the bottom on this. And then we'll be able to attach this inside here as well, and there'll be a little piece that will mount right in here, and this will allow the front end to still pivot. So if we're going to put it in a diorama scene, we'll be able to go ahead and do that. So I'm going to get the rest of the pieces cut out for this, and I'll show you how those all go together. Okay, now we are putting the extra framework onto the actual frame of the trailer, and you can see those will snap right into place there. But before we do that, we need to actually hollow out this little area right here with an X-Acto knife, and that is, after we get this cleared out, just lightly get this little excess out of here, because we want to, we'll finish that up in a second there. We want to get it to look like this, which I've already done on this one, and that is because we are going to use the framework, and we also want to do both sides. This little piece of this ramp is going to go in here, and because we're going to do the up ramp version of it. So when this fits in here, we want to have the ramp go up like this. And so if we do decide to put another vehicle on, this will go up in the air on it like that. So make sure that you plow out both sides of this right here, and just get it as smooth as possible to get that piece to go in there. And this, for the ramps, same thing. We want to use that same framework. It's going to glue right into place right here, and we'll have it on both sides. So I'll finish cleaning this out, get both of these glued into place here, and then we can go ahead and attach this framework to the rest of the frame of the trailer. Okay, now I am building up the upper ramps. And the upper ramps are just that, the ramps that go up on top here. And you have to build the structures together, which I'm building right now with a little modeling cement. And just making sure they go the right way so you have that little bit of bracing on the outside. And that's simple, and then there'll be one more back piece in there. And once you get that done, you're going to have this piece here. Now these pieces here are going to plug right into, this way, and it'll mount right on here. But before we do that, we have to get this piece built up. And this is kind of an unusual piece because it's just a front and back that'll click together, but then you have to insert these little pegs, and you have to insert them through here after you glue that together. So basically these work slightly, and that is going to help support that other piece. So once we get this done, we can glue this into place just like this, and then we glue our upper ramp into place right on top of it. And basically what that does is, if you want to put these, you can either leave these like this or leave them elevated like we're going to plan on doing our thing. That will be the piece that'll hold it in place there. So I'll get the other half of the ramps glued into place. We will glue these on just like that, and then we can set up this to go up inside there so it's at the elevated type look. And that's what it's going to look like once we get the other ramp. Now this has just been dry fitted into place, but you can see you can fold those out and that'll grab onto this ramp, hold it right in place there. And that is going to be for when we want to put something big like up on top here. And you're probably looking and going, wow, that's huge on top of there. But inside the instructions, there is a picture of one just like that, where they had mounted it up on the top of that, all the way up on the ramp. So I thought that looked kind of cool, so that's how we're going to go ahead and set ours up. I also thought I'd give you guys a quick little builder's tip. When you're going to put this on, it is much easier to get this upper ramp into place and then glue this into place down here, so you know the exact amount of distance you want to put in. What I've also done too is I've left these in the out position and glued them in like that, so when we go to glue that other piece in there, those are already going to be out ready for us to go, so we can attach the ramp right. Okay, now we are attaching the axles, and we have our front axle here that fits into this circular groove, and once that gets fitted into place there, we have this little piece of bracing. And this little piece of bracing will go in there and lock, basically, just like when you put a tank turret on top of the hull. You can see how that'll lock that in there, and it'll still be able to pivot and swing, but this way it'll stay on, of course. So you want to make sure that you don't get any of the cement anywhere but on the very bottom of it there. So we will let that set up now, and you can see this will still be able to spin inside there. And we'll put that to a side for a minute. And I've started gluing together some of the parts that make up the rear axle here, and the little hand cranks that will lift and lower the piece. Plus we also have the fenders that are going to get glued into place here. So we'll be able to glue these just like that. That little piston right there will go right inside of there, and then the inside's got a piece. And then of course we can attach the hubs, or the actual wheel itself, I should say, the wheel itself on there, and we'll be able to put those on. So we've got a little bit more gluing together on that, and then once that gets glued into place, this will get mounted right onto the back of these pieces here. We've got a little more sanding to do here and there, but that is basically how they'll go together. So I will let that front piece dry, get the last little bits of this glued on here, and then we'll be able to attach it, and we'll come back and show you what it looks like. Okay, we have the front and rear axle now into place, and that's secured, and this still operates just like it's supposed to. We've also gone ahead and built up the little winch that is going to get glued into place right here, a stowage box that gets glued up here, a jack that'll get glued up here, and one other little piece which I'm not quite sure what it is. I think it's just the guide that actually it is the guide now that I look at it, that holds the metal cable. It'll go through that from all over the place when you're towing something on. Also, we've gone ahead and assembled the tow tensioner bars here, and those were made up of probably about 7 little pieces there, but they are going to get glued into place right through the front. You can see it hopefully start to pop through there. Looks like it's bolted into place. Those will get laid in there. I have one other one too that we're letting dry right now. And that is the majority of the assembly. The only thing we need to do now is we still need to attach the actual wheels to the vehicle. And we can get the inside wheels because there is a dual wheel in the back here. So this one we can glue on right away and still get the rubber tire on over it. But for painting purposes, we'll probably just go ahead and paint them separately since we've got to paint the other ones as well. And we'll get these pieces glued down because all this is going to get paid to the basic, the German gray color. So I'm going to let this all cure, get these parts glued into place, and we're going to come back and start putting our paint job on. Okay, we've got the trailer all built up, as you can see, and painted. We've put just a coat of Tamiya's German gray over the entire thing, XF63, and I've dull coated it with one time with Tamiya's TS80, just a quick little light spritz over the entire thing, just to seal in our paint job. Now, I talked about in the first video about the decals that will be coming out for this, and I got a hold of my contacts at the company, and they don't have the decals ready for me yet, but they will have them soon. So what we'll probably end up doing is we're going to paint this one up as an all gray one without the wooden boards on it, and then we're going to probably get a second one and do that one with the wood on it to show you both ways on it. So what we'll do right now is we'll practice doing a little weathering technique. Since this is all going to be wood, we can do a little weathering and fading and things like that on all this German gray, just so it's not so monotone. So the first thing we're going to do now that it's all been sealed, we're actually going to go back over it with a lighter shade of German gray. And we're going to use XF63 with about 20% white in it, just to dull it down. And we're going to do kind of like what we do with the black and white technique, but in reverse here. So we're going to hit some of the highlight panels in through here and make it just a little bit lighter. And we're going to show you that right now. Okay, now hopefully you can see the weathering that we've done on that. Just some light fading in between all the panels where you'd expect some of the paint to get a little bit lighter. We've also obviously gone ahead and done the truck too. Let's put that into camera a little better there. So I think that looks really good. Nice effect that we've got going on there. And going back and using the lighter tone on some of the darker colors works a lot better. When you're doing the black and white technique, it works really good on lighter colors. But for German gray, I like doing it this way quite a bit. That way we get a nice effect. Now, we've weathered the inside of the bed as well as wood, as you saw me just do. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of raw wood that has been scraped up and beaten up a little bit. So we want to have a wood effect on both of these and inside the bed of the truck as well, which we're going to do right now. Okay, what I'm doing now is I'm taking a little desert tan with just a slight amount of a rust color in there, and the rust is more or less just to give it kind of a little bit touch of orange to it. And we're just going over some of the boards inside here and lightly dry brushing some of the boards to start giving them some distressing look to it, as if the paint is chipping off. And we just want to go lightly over this and kind of build up and kind of keep the pattern random. And don't worry if you get any spots like this that are a little thick. We're gonna, with the next couple of weathering techniques we go over it, a lot of that is going to disappear down. And you want to go over everything that you want to have the wood effect on it. That's gonna gradually look like it's worn, like they've dragged boxes across it, or crates, drums, whatever you want to think of that would go in the back of it, or an actual tank, which would really, I would imagine, mess up the boards pretty good on the back of one of these. And MBK has put So I'm going to work on putting in a little bit more of damaged wood in the back here, and we'll come back and show you what it looks like once it's done. Okay, we spent some time blending all three of the colors, the orange, a light tan, and a darker tan. Now I am just putting on a coat of enamel thinner with a flat brush here. A few hairs came off the brush. And then we are just going to take some of our streaking grime and just put some on in there, kind of a little bit heavy. And with our big flat brush, just starts blending it all in. And we want it kind of blotchy, because you'll see once it dries how it starts to, first of all, the brown is going to go into all the little nooks and crannies here and help highlight and create some, or actually create shadows to make the rest of the stuff kind of look like highlighting. And just kind of work it back and forth. Make sure you cover everything. This brush seems to be shedding a little bit, but we can take those extra off in a bit there. I know it's kind of, maybe that gets a little bit better view for you guys there. And it was kind of bright. The light right above us there is kind of blinding. But this gives us a nice natural wood effect that's kind of blending through the gray. So we're going to work on that for a little while longer, let that dry, and we'll come back and show you what it looks like. And while the bed is drying, we are now taking our foam sponge and using kind of like a blotting technique. After you blot off the vast majority of paint, we're going to start putting some chips. And this color that we're using here is my chipping color I like to use for darker colors, and it's a mixture of 75% NATO brown, 20% NATO black, and just 5% red. And we're just going to go over, and anywhere there's metal, we're going to put a little, it looks kind of like a tarnished effect to it. And if we decide we want to put any rust on the vehicle, we can use any of those spots on there to put the rust on. So any like these hinges, pieces like that. Not going to go super heavy. We don't want a completely destroyed vehicle, but we do want to have some weathering on it. Okay, now that we've let the chips dry, we are going to use a little enamel thinner and a small amount of streaking rust to go over some of these areas. And you want to use quite a bit of thinner on these so it kind of blends into it and you get little pools of rust as if it's built up on some areas. And we're just going to go around mainly the bottom areas down here to do that. As for all of these areas and through here, like these bands, these metal bands, we're going to use a little bit of streaking grime on these areas. And in these areas here, we're going to use the same effect, but this time we're going to use streaking grime on these instead of the rust color. And of course, we'll use it actually all over the entire vehicle. And this is just a matter of going back and forth and blending it all in. So you don't have too much buildup in one area. You can use a big soft brush dipped in enamel thinner, kind of just pull it down and make sure you only leave behind just what you want to use on it. And of course, when it dries completely flat and leaves a nice effect for it there. So we're going to go over the entire vehicle with that. But one other quick thing I want to show you what we're going to do for the wheels is all the other products we've been using are our AK enamel products. And one other thing we're going to do is all the wheels. We're going to use our AK Dust and Dirt deposits, which all the other products, all the weathering products have all been the AK line. And this is something that I just started using recently, and I really like it because it has kind of like a pigment built into the actual wash, so you get both effects on it. So we're going to put a little bit of that on the wheels, mainly the tread going around the outside edge here. And we're going to obviously wipe off all the excess that we don't want on here, but we want to put it on kind of thick to make sure that it flows into all of the tread pattern. And we're going to go over this obviously a bunch of times. And then what you can do is on the outer edge here, just use a cotton swab and just kind of wipe off the excess, and you can see how it starts to leave behind just the pigment inside the tread pattern. And you get the kind of the idea what we're talking about right there. So we're also going to work on all of the wheels on it as well. Well, here we go, guys. Here is our completed models now that we have put all of our weathering technique on. And actually, you have to say, too, I'm very happy with the way the trailer and the bed came out there. Those dust effects really, with all the other weathering techniques, of course, really make it look like it's a beat-up, worn surface. Now, we've gone ahead and done a few other things, too. We painted, like, the indicator lights. We put the license plates on, as well as the headlights in place after we painted the inside silver on that. I know it's kind of hard. What we'll do is we'll pull this one out of the way and kind of zoom in a little bit first on that, and really like the weathering technique that came out in there, all the dust and stuff that accumulated all over the piece. Now we have to put these obviously side by side right now because it's so large. Once you put it into a thing, it's hard to get it all on camera, but you get a pretty good idea how it all builds up. And what I thought I'd show you too is we've got our 8-ton half-track. We weathered up a little bit to match what's going on right here, just to give you guys an idea of scale. And obviously the tracks would normally sag down and things like that on, but I just thought it looked so cool on the back of it. Plus also, this is just a leftover model kit that's been in my display case for many years. Can't find the windshield or some of the other mirrors, but like I was telling you earlier, it really looks cool just on the back of it. Now, overall, the kits, both the front and the trailer, both went together very, very well, as I talked about throughout the video. The fit was very, very good on everything. No fit issues at all. In fact, just a great all-around kit. The trailer, after everything's said and done, was actually fairly simple, and I'd actually like to build another one. So if we do get those decals, we will build up another one down the road, if we can get another trailer by itself, of course, I mean, and kind of have another one that, because I've actually seen pictures of the 8-ton half-track pulling it too. So it's a trailer that can be used quite often with all different types of things. And the mere fact that it can put at least a Panzer II or even one of the early Martyrs on it, that's a pretty cool thing. So, hey, that's it in a nutshell. I really appreciate you guys watching, and please stay tuned because we have many more videos coming.